This is the general story of the hit. Well, that could be an understatement. More like smash hit Yuri on Ice. Another in a series of male-focused sports anime in the recent tradition of shows like Free, Kuroko no Basket, and most recently Haikyuu. However, the massive popularity of this series is more or less unprecedented. Yuri on Ice has reached a new high of international popularity for an animation of any kind, such short of time winning awards on numerous fan-centric and anime news-centric sites like My Usual Haunts of Anime News Network, where even the reviewers gave the show a positive review. Crunchyroll, which had the series before Funimation got the rights to the series, had their first anime awards, and guess who dominated? You better believe it. Yuri on Ice received awards in all of its 7 nomination categories, including Best Young Male Character for Yuri Katsuki, Best Animation, Most Heartwarming Scene Episode 7, Best Opening, Best Closing, and Anime of the Year. While the show has popularity across a surprisingly large cross-section of anime community, it is not without its flaws. What many anime and non-anime critics consider to be one of the major flaws of the series is the lack of attention to one of the main aspects of the series, the sport of ice skating. The show tends to come up short on the actual ice part of the show, and in retrospect many parts of the series often omit or not clearly explain the technical aspects of figure skating, which is sad because it takes away from the feeling of the show. Additionally, the show Yuri on Ice used more key animators than any other anime series during the fall 2016 season, an average of 48.5 key animators per episode, 5 more than the next highest. In the early episodes of the series, each character was handled by a different key animator, meaning that skating style of the characters differed from each other. In the skating scenes, the sound effects were changed to match each venue according to the building's capacity and crowd size. The skating sounds for each sequence were recorded separately. No stock sounds were used for the sequences, because each part sounds different, and no footage of professional skaters was used because the music in the programs normally muffles the sounds. Thus the sounds used were recorded and performed by series choreographer Miyamoto, and each skating sequence is unique to the program. Despite this, or because of this, you had frequent errors in animation, so this show proves, while you may spend top cash, you might not get the best product. The series is a representation, according to some anime critics like Ian Wolf of Anime UK, as another example of the so-called Otajiri effect, where a entertainment, movie, music, or in this case TV show, gets larger percentages of female fans, because the property features a generous number of handsome characters. In some respects, this show by some can also be said to be a reverse harem series. And perhaps the biggest flaw of the series is the main reason why the show is so popular in the first place: the relationship between Victor and Yuri Katsuki. Honestly, never has a show gained such the big fandom that Yuri has, just for to put it plainly, being about the principal characters being gay. The validity romantic relationship has been argued by a variety of people in anime, LGBTQ, sports, feminist and general entertainment circles. However, the self-evidence of the two main characters' relationship is shown by the apparent kiss in the 7th episode, and the exchanging of rings in the 10th episode, which traditionally signifies the establishment of marriage or similar civil union. Said exchange of rings between Yurike and Victor in the 10th episode is considered the first time such a relationship has been depicted in anime, and while it is not the first to have a same-sex relationship at the forefront, it is the first to have the characters in a style that is actually mutual, rather than simply sexual. Additionally, anime writer-reviewer Gabriella Reekins, who writes for Anime News Network, brought up the truth about the paradox of the primary nations and nationality of the primary characters depicted in the show. She said, quote, that Yuri on Ice, in depicting a sincere and uncomplicated engagement between two dudes, is unprecedented in anime. There hasn't even been a real gay marriage in Japan, so this show is depicting something that isn't legally possible in its country of origin. Neither, quite famously, is it accepted in the homeland of Victor and Yuri P. Mother Russia, where President Vladimir Putin famously reserves objection to even homosexuality being practiced in his country, let alone marriage or civil unions. Additionally, even in the homeland of the Yoido Jinchi, Homosexuality is still a general social taboo, and in the objective opinion of this observer, it should remain so. The advent of Yuri on Ice is really not to expose the anime public to the joys of figuretting, nor to the teacher-student relationship which could also be extracted from the series akin to the early years of famous shonen series of Yuri like Dragon Ball and Naruto, but a barrier-breaking attempt to go as Gene Roddenberry's famous space franchise likes to say when no anime has ever gone before, and bring the agate, that is Yuri, to the forefront. Sure, there have been Yuri series before, but those series were often pushed to the fringe. Yuri, and let's just call it such, Yuri on Ice, was thrown right in the forefront, and the army of fan sluts waiting between the latest My Hero Academia show Gene, new seasons of Utah free, and wondering when the next Boibu was going to come. This show rocks the TV anime universe in Japan, and takes the world by storm, and the messages spread to the fan horse in the West and elsewhere. As the written slightly better than your average anime with better than average character development, Yuri on Ice is the toast of the TV anime medium, even getting props from American animation shock Mr. South Park, and YouTube vlogger Jordan the Peter Pan emo boy, Sweeto. Though it meets CRAF's requirements of strong plot, character development, sophisticated storytelling, and being quite full of action in its own way, the Yuri factor renders all criteria moot. Point blank, it's a Yuri show. Male on male. Whether a arrogant, denying feminist skeptic wants to say that they aren't in love is irrelevant, the hints prove otherwise. And boy do they prove. This is a show that not only caters to Yuri whackers, shoujo enthusiasts, sports boy lovers, aficionados of cheap Harley Quinn novels, and cheap romance fan sluts, but it attempts quite successfully to engage non-suspecting Japanese and others to accept straightforward near-canon LGBTQ characters headlining an important television animated series. Not a fringe show, but a universally popular one. Basically the final frontier towards the all-out acceptance of truly openly canon Yuri and real Yuri, that is female-to-female characters headlining shows, thus leading a new wave of fans sluts to open the doors to more Yuri doujinshi, more bad fan art for a show, analingus, same-sex sensual, consensual sodomy, and moreover trigger the hentai community to expand their perversions. Yuri on Ice opened the Pandora's box to all kinds of perversion. I'm gonna sort of quote the late actor James Gandolfini in character of Tony Soprano. I agree with that Senator Sanatorium, referring to former United States Senator Rick Santorum, a man known for, like myself, being a moral crusader and man of integrity. Again quoting Gandolfini in character, if we let this stuff go too far, pretty soon we'll be fucking dogs. Well, if Yuri on Ice is any indication of the legitimization of the coarsening of fandom today on a universal scale, to the extent to where in the near future a major anime may have a serious human character, male or female, married to prepubescent child, or a horse, or a dog, known not an anthropomorph, but a four-legged animal character. Do you see where this is going? This is morally wrong, and it's time for a counterattack on the Yuri on Ice fans and the hidden agenda of the series. And yes, there is a hidden agenda that the show is using. They believe by using the popularity of the series that LGBTQ will overtly be made acceptable, and that the Japanese and Russian authorities will be pressured to by animated cartoon series that Wado canonically preaches pro-LGBT motives to allow the anything goes Sodom and Gomorrah atmosphere that modern anime fandom, so that a tiny army of fangirls from around our globe can masturbate to images of their favorite bunny boys, knowing that their relationship is canonically real, and can encourage every other producer to add more openly homosexual tones in their series, not just traps or mentally confused cross-dressers, but real homosexuals starring in their own shows, straightforward shows, and that with Yuri on Ice being a smash hit, then a Daily Bible Black or Boku no Pico regular animated series of 52 to 65 episodes could be around the corner. Heaven help us all. Stay tuned for a special message.
Earlier this year there was a group of LGBT activists that protested outside of Ivanka Trump Kushner's house in protest of President Trump's policies. They held a dance cam block party where principals protested and danced for LGBT rights and equality, which is in the opinion of this observer, a bunch of malarkey. Honestly, if you ask me by the photos in this set, these quote-unquote freedom fighters, which consisted of community organizers, college students, party animals, even some furries, bronies, and probably even a couple of Yuri on Ice cosplayers, protested, danced, and walked in ways that made Miley Cyrus would even blush at. Such a spectacle it was that even an elderly neighbor of Mrs. Kushner asked them to stop the commotion. The crowd declined, honesty in a beastly manner in which they partied in spoke volumes to the lewdness of the true extreme LGBTQ community. Honestly, this is how they act. With arrogant and demon-possessed vitriol. Actually, if you took a demon-possessed person and a person that attended this protest, you would not tell the difference. But that's how these people act. They're not normal. They protest the man who, like it or not, and I didn't even vote for him, is the leader of the free world. And you're acting like spoiled little kids because your choice for president lost. Honestly, this is what happens when man that preceded Mr. Trump, the LGBTQ president, Mr. Liberal, Barack Hussein Obama, the same man that continuously sided with the very people, the Muslims, that would bust the LGBTQ to the white meat without remorse, but you dumb LGBTQ, like the fools you are, loved him and defended him to the end, because you want all that tax money and you wanted pop culture to swing to your control so that the LGBTQ experience is not only tolerated but celebrated in the forefront of the main town squares, on the radio and on television. Now what does that have to do with Yuri on Ice? Everything. This is a clarion call to Japan and Russia especially. If you let the wildness of the LGBT community be celebrated because of the excuse cry of egalitarianism, then it will take over like a mob, just like they attempted to rudely take over Ivanka Trump Kushner's neighborhood. The popularity of Yuri on Ice worldwide and the subliminal message of the curiously named theme song, History Maker. This show was not some show meant to show the anime-loving public the joys of figure skating. This show was born to make history, to celebrate the sexual romance between two men. Two men who have a passion for ice skating and an even greater one for sticking things up their butts. Making history on a grand scale, oh yeah. That's right. Making history by promoting that sodomitic is acceptable, and passing that off as advancing animation. No. Tough, we have come a long way from the loose chima preachy message cartoons and funny animals using one-dimensional writing and having less than two-dimensional animation. The animation universe has recently, as it has traded much of things that made the creator-driven era the second golden age of animation. The key tenets were thrown to the wayside as even American creators either wanted to be like anime, or veer too much into boobs and bathroom humor, or has reverted to cartoon commercials and PS messages. Animation has returned to the path of least resistance as even some of the creators that were the mavericks of the 90s have become social justice advocates. Or just don't care any longer. Those that do are marginalized, or like Hayao Miyazaki have been written off by modern producers that favor audience satisfaction over quality-driven content without pushing questionable agendas. And if Yuri on Ice continues its growth and popularity, this a harbinger of things to come, then we have a lot of work to do making anime great again.